Let's start with some cheesehead talk, guys. Let's go and talk about the Packers, who, of course, have been very popular in the headlines lately after they decided to draft Jordan Love, the heir apparent to our guy Aaron Rodgers, who hasn't really said anything yet. Brett Favre, though, has. You know who else is saying something? Marquez Valdes-Scantling. He sounded off about how he envisions the Rodgers-Love dynamic working in Green Bay.
Aaron's going to be planning on being our quarterback, for years to come until he's ready to stop playing. And that's never, that's not a doubt. There's no competition battle or anything like that. 12 is the guy, and he's going to be the guy until he's ready to stop playing football. So we can, nip that in the bud now. But, he's just going to be a great teacher to him, show him the ropes. So when he is done playing football, Jordan can come in and, pick up right where he left off.
A smart, decisive answer out of the young wide receiver. Guys, of course, the Packers aren't the only team that has a bit of a quarterback situation going on, a competition, if that. You've got, Carson Wentz. They drafted Jalen Hurts, of course. The Cowboys have Dak, have not paid him, and then they sign Andy Dalton, who was released last week. So which of these quarterbacks that you guys think, or not which of them, how should they handle this? How should the backups handle this? Kyle, I want to go to you first. Should they take it personally, like we think that they might, or treat it like business as usual?
Well, it depends on the situation, of course. How about a situation where, I don't know, let's say you're in a marriage and it's a 15-year marriage and you feel like you have been the best husband on earth for 15 straight years, and you support your partner and you encourage their dreams and you take a leadership role and you empty the dishwasher, and just when you think, maybe I could use a little help around the house, maybe I could use someone to help out with the housework or someone to cut the grass, on national television your spouse decides to re-up and run off with the pool boy and right in front of you without letting you know, and they have the audacity to call it love on top of that. Very, very personal for Rodgers and the Packers, and it's a great take from Marquez Valdes-Scantling, except it doesn't make any sense. He's just going to be, 12's going to be the quarterback until he doesn't want to be. Well, 12 wants to be the quarterback for 4 more years. You cannot draft a number 1 pick and sit them for 4 years. It doesn't make any sense. So I don't understand the plan. I can't even imagine what Rodgers thinks, very personally, and maybe this will help him on the field, and this is some crazy passive-aggressive move by the Packers to inspire him. That's the best theory I got going.
I hear you, KB. I hear you. And we love relationship analogies here on the show. But when it comes to the relationship, if you notice that your organization or your significant other is getting wondering eyes, then how about you do the little things to get her attention again? How about you do the things that you did in the beginning when you swept her off your feet? How about you do the things like when you proposed and you presented that ring to her? By that ring, I mean that Super Bowl ring. I mean, if you remind the organization how great you are, and you don't just have good seasons that fall off in the postseason, but you get to the Super Bowl, then that right there sends a message loud and clear. I mean, I've been in a relationship as long as I can remember. I met my wife back in 1999. And you know what? I have to remind myself almost every day, if you don't do the little things that made her fall in love with you, then maybe this relationship isn't going to last a lifetime like I want it to. So with everything that we're talking about, all Aaron Rodgers has to do is go out there and remind the Green Bay Packers, the NFC North, the NFL, that I'm one of the best quarterbacks and I can add another Super Bowl to this organization. Who cares who you draft if he takes destiny in his own hands?
This is good. I mean, this is real good because I think there's a lot of different situations. I think Rodgers should be pissed. I do. I think Rodgers should be pissed. I think if I'm the guy and I got you at 13-3, we went to the NFC Championship game with a bunch of wide receivers who aren't household names outside of Devontae Adams, and you draft my backup quarterback, I could be pissed. But then you've got to get over that hump, and you've got to find a way to harness that, use that as motivation. And like Kyle said, what if Rodgers goes out and uses that and now goes 15-1 and goes on an absolute tear and leads the league in passing? Would you say, oh, wow, what a bad pick? Or would you say, in a weird way, they set themselves up for after Rodgers and almost inspired Rodgers in the process? The situations I'm most fascinated are the guys who have been the quarterbacks who have actual competition. I'll give you 3 names right now. Mitch Trubisky, that one. I don't know how he's going to respond to that adversity. Derek Carr. Seems like every offseason there's a new quarterback that's supposed to be drafted and they don't do it. They finally got Mariota to give him a challenge. And the last one that I think is not necessarily a competition yet, but Dak Prescott having Andy Dalton behind him is a lot different than having Cooper Rush or whoever else behind him. There's one thing about this that no one talks about, and it's the media huddles and the media masses. I remember covering Mark Sanchez when he was the Jets starting quarterback, and there were no reporters at his locker. They were all at Tim Tebow's locker. And I remember thinking, that's got to be tough on Mark Sanchez. When you bring in that other quarterback who the media might want to see, it plays tricks with your head. I'm curious to see how those guys respond.
What do you think, KB?
I'm curious too, and I could talk Tebow all day, Peter, but I have to double back to Nate. Nate, you were extending the metaphor saying that Rodgers needs to continue doing the little things like when the romance was young and needs to put in more effort. Nate, Aaron Rodgers was just winning 13 games, beating Russell Wilson in the playoffs and in the title game. As a husband, Aaron Rodgers had the Packers on the gondola in Venice, and Neil Lane is showing up, and there's a bed of roses. There's not a lot else he can do, Nate. And if you as a husband are like Rodgers as a quarterback, and your wife has a wandering eye, as you said, then she ain't a good woman. Let me put it that way. He's putting in the work.
Oh my God. At GNFE with your thoughts on this one as we move.